All right. So mainly what we're going to look at today is three different things. Number one is going to be Diablo Immortal. Number two, Twitter. Number three, the Blizzard financial earnings. So obviously there's a whole lot of stuff for us to get into and a lot of stuff for us to say. So let's start at the very beginning. Let's talk about Diablo Mobile, Diablo Immortal. Don't you guys have phones? And it turns out that some people don't, and so Blizzard heard that, and they're making it for PC as well. That's fucking great. I'm very happy about this. I think this is something that a lot of people had wanted with Diablo Immortal. Like, this is something I've wanted. Is that, like, I want to try out the new Diablo Immortal game, because it's the new Diablo game. I'm a big Diablo fan. So, like, yeah, I want to play the game, but I don't want to play on my phone. Like, I'm not a phone gamer. Like, the only mobile game that I have on my phone is Twitter. So I don't really give a shit about playing a game on my phone. It's just, it's annoying. It's like, it's like doing like this. Like, don't like it. So the fact that I can just go and sit and fucking play the game on my computer is great. I think this is a good decision. And it also probably indicates that the game is probably not going to be as pay to win or have as many, I don't know, energy systems as a lot of other mobile games have. So I think that's a good thing too. Just overall, I think this is a huge positive for Diablo Immortal, and it's a good decision by Blizzard. Now we'll talk about this a little bit more. Someone said in the chat, mobile games are cancer. Why are mobile games fundamentally cancer? Gentlemen, do we know why mobile games are cancer? Does anybody know why they're cancer? Why are they cancer? Pay to win, money, energy systems, payment systems, cash grab, capitalism, exploiting children, overly monetized. Can you play Lost Ark on your phone? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, these companies are, it's just because pay to win is more of a thing in mobile gaming right now, doesn't mean that it's not going to be more of a thing in PC gaming in the future. I think we're going to be seeing this a lot more. We're going to be seeing more and more PC games that have energy systems, more and more PC games that have, these different ways to exploit money out of people. This is just what's going to happen, and people can fight against it, and I think that people have, in generally, they put up the good fight against NFTs, for example. I think gamers have unironically risen up, and they've, I think, pretty much slowed down the implementation of NFTs in gaming. But in my opinion, I feel like companies never really cared about having NFTs. Excuse me, fuck. They never really cared about having NFTs in games. They were only doing it as a marketing device. Many times, like, they were just doing it like, oh yeah, this cool new NFT thing, like, oh wow, look at this, it's so great. Now you can buy the item in this game and you own it, but you don't have a copyright to it. No, you don't have copyright. No, other people have the same thing, but no, but yours, but you do own it though, because it's, your own receipt. Like, this is the way it goes, right? And so why are they doing this? They're doing it to capitalize on a trend. It's the same reason why, like, games make VRs. It's the same reason why games, you see one game that's successful and you see a bunch of other games come out that are like a clone of that game. Like Vampire Survivors is an example of this. See Vampire Survivors release, it's very popular. Wow. 10 other developers see that and they're like, well, I'm going to make my own. And I'm going to call this Werewolf Survivors. And now the guy's a werewolf and he's fighting against vampires. Wow, look at this. It's crazy. And so this is just always what's going to happen. There's a squirrel. Where he be at? Oh, yeah, he over there. I see him. And so, yeah, this is always the way things go. And so let's go over here. Yeah, Raccoon Survivors. So we got Diablo Immortal will release. I'm looking on this on Wowhead. Will release June 2nd, 2022 for PC and for phones. And it will feature full PC support at launch, which is a huge positive. I think this is great. I'm going to play it. I am. I'm going to play Diablo Immortal on June 2nd. When it got announced, I never thought I was going to, but like, here we are. Why the fuck not? I mean, we'll see what the new game is. Yeah, why not? And me too. Yeah, absolutely, man. Lost Ark 2.0, like you play Warcraft 3 Reforged. Yeah, but like that wasn't... Like, I think everybody is expecting Diablo Immortal. Everybody is going to play it because of all the drama surrounding it. they want to know. Like, I'm the same. I want to know, is it going to be good? Is it going to suck? Like, is it going to be like super overly monetized? Is like, what's going to happen, right? Like, I'm very curious to see what this game is going to be like, because there hasn't really been a lot of leaks or beta testing about it. So it's like, is it just going to be awful or what? It's new content. Yeah, it's new fucking content, man. And so, yeah, anyway, let's see here. Open beta on PC will feature all game features such as crossplay, cross progression, and upon conclusion, all progress will be maintained. I'm not really sure exactly how that works. Let's see here. 25-year franchise. Demons of the Burning Hells are ready to be slain by the most expansive Diablo game in Blizzard's ever released. That's great. As Blizzard's first game designed from the ground up for mobile, it's important for us to deliver an experience worthy of the franchise. So we did a lot of testing, incorporated a lot of feedback. And like, that's the thing. Like, here's what I'm kind of expecting is going to happen, and we'll see kind of some information about this in a minute. But I think that what's going to happen is that the game is not really going to have a lot of pay-to-win features in it on release. And this is usually how these games go. And it's like, you have to get people like emotionally invested into the game. It's like whenever you're fishing and you have to get the fish like eating the bait, right? Just because it nibbles the bait a little bit. Well, you don't pull the hook right there, right? You want to wait for him to get his whole mouth in there, and then you fucking get him, and you get his jaw, you get him up on the boat, right? And then you eat the fish. So how are they going to eat the fish? Let's talk about that. Simple. What they're going to do is they're just going to wait for people to they're going to wait for people to, you know, get invested in Diablo Immortal. They're going to let them, you know, play the game and like it a lot. And then once people reach a certain level of progression, or once a new patch comes out, they will slowly implement things that are probably microtransactions over time in order to make more money off of the game as the amount of players either slowly declines or plateaus, because they've realized that they've reached the maximum amount of people that they're going to reach in order to really start sinking those teeth in to get that money. And like, that's what I think is going to happen. In a lot of ways, it's kind of what happened with Lost Ark. Is that Lost Ark is, you don't really need to do pay to win to level up. You don't really need to do pay to win in tier 1 and tier 2. When you really think about doing pay to win, you're talking about like tier 3. And by that time, you get to tier 3, like, oh, you've already played the game like 100, 200 hours. So you're invested in the game. And so that's the goal, right? Is you want to get people invested enough into it to where they feel like they have to pay the money to keep up, because they're playing something that they enjoy. And that's the secret with getting people to spend money in these games. And so anyway, I think this is what Blizzard's probably going to do. You know, obviously, am I expecting Diablo Immortal to be as good of a Diablo experience as Diablo 3? I mean, to be fair, it's hard not to be. But we'll have to see. I'm not sure. But I'll play it out. I'll see what it's like. And if it's got pay-to-win aspects, I mean, shit. You know, we'll see what they are. I think that's it. I think that we're going to have more and more of this being the case, where different games have like more and more pay-to-win aspects, and people are just going to have to decide which pay-to-win aspects they're more okay with or less okay with. I'm not really sure, really. I mean, only time will tell. But I think that you're seeing the market already, you know, showing itself to be much more receptive to things that are pay-to-win. And you see this with, I think that the first game that really broke this mold was Genshin Impact. As soon as Genshin Impact came out and it was extremely successful, now, I think this gave a lot of other companies a lot more confidence to add in pay-to-win to their games, because now they can just they can do it, and there's people that are going to buy it and they're going to play it. Truth is, Genshin Impact is incredibly successful, and it's successful not because of pay-to-win, but it's successful despite pay-to-win. So having a success case, I think, gives a lot of other Western developers more confidence in developing a game that is more monetized, more heavily monetized. So yeah, that's what's going to happen, I think, and we can't really know. Let's read this right here, and I'm going to read. This is what they said about a little bit of the monetization of the game. Okay, Diablo Immortal will be free to play with optional in-game purchases, ensuring the core game experience will always be free. Developed by Blizzard Entertainment and NetEase, Diablo Immortal will be available at launch. And so let's talk a little bit about this. All players will receive, if you receive the stunning Horadrim cosmetic set to celebrate this significant milestone when the game launches, This is just the beginning, as new content will be released regularly to players and for free in the years to come, including new zones, dungeons, and character classes. So yeah, I think that the game is going to be pretty much free to play whenever it comes out, because Blizzard has to. The thing is that it's a smart thing for them to do to release it being completely free to play. The reason why it's a good thing for them to do, to release it to be full free to play, is that, again, you have to let people get their guard down, you have to win people over, and then you take advantage of them later on. Then you make money after them later on. But you have to initially figure out a way to kind of get them to get them in that point. And so I think that they have to win over people, and then they can take advantage of them, right? But you have to win them over first. It's the same as, like, an American Psycho, right? He brings the girl over. I mean, the first thing he doesn't pull out the axe right away, right? I mean, you get her to drink, you talk to her a little bit, put on some music, and then you get out the axe, right? Because you don't do that right on first, because then she's just going to leave. So you have to get them to let their guard down. And that's what I think that a lot of these companies are going to do. I think this is what Blizzard's going to do with Diablo Immortal, and in my opinion, I think they're stupid if they don't. I think this is the successful way for doing it, right? Axe me Blizzard. True. There it is. What do you think of Pact of Exile model of monetization? I think it's great. I have no problems with it. Interesting analogy, but I'm not wrong, am I? Let's see here. Because she's going to stay after? Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter at that point, because you already got what you wanted. That's what it is. And so, yeah, this is the way that I see it, and this is the way that I think it's going to go. Again, so with Diablo Immortal, just to kind of wrap this up and explain pretty much how I feel about it, I think this is good. It's in general a good thing, and I hope that Diablo Immortal is good. I really do. I'm a fan of Diablo, and I think it's in everybody's best interest. If you're a person who doesn't like mobile games, maybe it's also in your best interest to support a mobile game that you feel is fair and has monetization options that you think are more ethical. Because that way, if you're just categorically against all mobile games, then people won't try to make... if they know that they're never going to win, they won't play the game. So they're not going to try to make better mobile games with better monetization if they know that people are just not going to play them categorically. So, yeah, I mean, if it's a good game, I would recommend try it out, see what it's like, and if not, fuck it. We'll just wait for Diablo 4 or Path of Exile 2. You have to see a fair mobile game? Yeah, it depends, man. Alright, I support mobile games, so if Blizz makes more mobile games. I don't think mobile games are bad, and I think mobile games are also such a huge industry. Whatever. I'll play games on my phone, period. Well, the thing is, I know that this is one thing that happens a lot, and we have to keep this in mind, is that, a lot of us that are here, we're mainly 24 to 35-year-old guys. Really, especially, if you go down to, 20, most of my audience are people, in this age group, right? That's just what it is. So, whenever we say, oh, well, we don't give a fuck about phone games, Blizzard is not making Diablo Immortal for us. We are not the target audience of this. They are making a new game to create a new audience. So, I mean, if there's a lot of us oh yeah, I don't play mobile games. I don't either, right? I'll try it out, see what it's like. I think making it on PC is a good decision. I want to just make sure I re-emphasize this again, is that PC Diablo Immortal is a good idea. I wanted this. I wanted this ever since the beginning. And people even asked this on the first day that Diablo Immortal got announced. They were like, okay, who was it? Was it a Captain Llama, somebody like that? I forgot his name. Fucking, it was one of the Diablo content creators. He asked, even there, he was like, well, are we going to be able to play this on PC? And Blizzard said, Fluffy Llama, yeah, Mr. Llama, whatever. He's like, yeah, y'all remember, that was him, right? That was him that asked the question, I think it was, about being able to play it on PC. And Blizzard at that time said no. They said, no, we're not going to be able to have it on PC. And now they've changed their mind. And I think this is a great thing. I'm very happy about this. And it's a huge positive. So, yeah, that's what I think. I'll read a few comments about Diablo Immortal, and then we'll move on. I think most games in the future should have scalability for all platforms. I'd love to see mobile applications for games. What's your opinion on play-to-earn games that's so popular nowadays, and it's NFTs popping off? I actually don't think they're that popular. I think that the play-to-earn games are really popular among NEETs because I think that they're going to become millionaires by playing video games. I was one of them with Diablo 3 Real Money Auction House. That's how I know. And it's just going to be another situation where people don't realize, like, there are people making money in play-to-earn games right now. Like, let's say that's going to happen. Whenever these games get a lot bigger, what economy is not imbalanced towards the top? Where, you know, the Bernie Sanders quote, "Can you believe that 1% of the population has 87% of the wealth? In what kind of a country should we have that?" It's the same. It's the same in every fucking economy. It's the same in like, there's the guy, the Chads that hook up with all the girls, and then there's the fucking, the viewers of my stream that don't have a girlfriend, right? And then also you've got, in every economy, there's like massive imbalances of wealth. It's just what happens. It's just what fucking happens. So, I think that a lot of people that like care about these play to earn games, these are people who have already failed in life in many regards. These are people who are failing out of community college, and they're thinking that they can play this pay-to-earn game or play-to-earn game and they're going to make a lot of money off of it. You're fucking stupid. You're not going to make any money. That's why you haven't done it already. I think you're going to see people come into these games that are much more successful, much smarter with what they're doing, and they're just going to wipe these clowns out. Like, that's just what's going to happen. It's what happens every time. It's what's happened in Warcraft too. It's what's happened in anything. Once you introduce a money incentive, a profit incentive, you have people in there who are there to make money, and these people make money for a living. And the other guys that we're talking about with anime profile pictures, talking about they bought an NFT for, 71 cents, and now it's worth $71. This kid thinks he's Elon Musk nowadays. No, he's not going to have a chance. So I think pay-to-earn games and the implementation of them, the same rationalization for allowing a person to work 10 hours a day for $3 is, you can say, well, that's a lot of money in their country. And yes, I agree, and that's why we have sweatshops. So it's the same type of logic. I don't think it's really going to go that far, but I think that we will see a few games that really try it out, and you'll see some level of success, although I think it will be a mirage. People will, the closer they get to making money at it, the more that they'll realize that they're wasting their time. So that's what I think is going to happen. Pay to earn is usually third world countries where people get entrapped on pay to earn systems. Exactly, yeah, that's what it's going to be. And again, I think a lot of these people that think that they're going to make a ton of money on it are just like stupid kids, and they don't understand that there's going to be people that are a lot smarter than me, right? And it's like, you think about like Susan Express, like these other video game companies, and if you actually watch the interviews with the people that run these like gold buying companies and these like gold selling companies, these guys are really smart. They're a lot fucking smarter than some kid that's going to community college and thinks he's going to make a living on pay-to-earn games. And they're going to completely fucking demolish you. And they're going to drive the prices down so much because of their optimization that you farming in the game will just simply not be an effective use of your time. That's just the truth. That's what's going to happen. And that's what happens with everything. More competition equals a lower margin, especially with people that can operate at scale. And again, it's a large economies rule. It's like, how do you make money? It's like you have to have like different types of like amortization schedules of like, okay, if you have an account that's botted and it's going for like 10 hours, how much money do you make versus how much money do you spend? Electricity costs, like all this stuff. Like, these people are thinking on a completely different level than somebody who has an NFT as their profile picture on Twitter. They're just gonna get demolished. Like, they're just gonna get fucking demolished. They won't even have a chance. So yeah, I don't think pay-to-earn games really have much of a future in terms of like helping people out. What else about Diablo Immortal? We'll move on after that. Finance for the gear they use? Yep, exactly. Absolutely. Don't forget that if it hits off in China, that alone will carry Diablo Immortal. If it hits off in India, that alone will carry Diablo Immortal. I mean, really, the reason why mobile games are so great is that in many regards, they don't cost as much money to develop than a full-scale PC game. Like, I mean, who wants to guess that Diablo Immortal is going to cost less to develop than Diablo 4? Obviously. And it's the same as the Fallout mobile game is probably going to be selling, or is going to be probably cheaper to make than the Fallout game that they made for PC or for console last time. So because of that, you have a game that operates on a fundamentally smaller scale, and it takes less money to develop. And at the same time, you have stronger monetization options. You have less expectations from a consumer base. It's like a perfect way that you can make money. Like, honestly, if I was younger now, I would be inventing NFTs and designing phone games. I would be designing phone games I would be like talking with my dad about like, okay, like what do you know about psychology? Like how can I get this stupid kid to put his mom's credit card information in there one more time? And like my dad and I would probably have like a 3-hour conversation about it, and he'd be so proud of me, and it'd be great, you know. That's pretty much where we'd be at. So you know, this is what I would do if I wasn't streaming, if I was a younger guy nowadays. I think that if you're a young guy right now, you have so many incredible fucking opportunities, and I think the internet has given so many young guys like this massive wealth of possibility. Like I think about what it was like whenever I was younger, and it was really good whenever I was younger too, right? Because like I was able to make money and shit like this online too. But like now, like holy fuck. Like you can, oh my God, you're doing, yeah, you just say no? Well, yeah, I mean, I exist in the system, but I think it's a young white guy's fixed it. Wait, so you think, oh yeah, that's right. If somebody makes an NFT and it turns out that they're black, nobody buys the NFT. That's totally right. Why don't you stop watching MSNBC? Let's just dial it down a notch or two, okay? Like that's just really not the way things work, okay? It's really not too late for anyone to change. Yeah, true. It's just silly. Now it's harder because everyone's trying to do it. That's the thing. You want perfect time whenever it was a niche. Oh, yes, you do. But the thing is, like, I've always approached things, and this is the way a lot of these mobile game developers work, and it's also a lot of way these angel investment companies work, too. So, like, you guys don't really understand this. Like, basically, there are these investment companies that they will invest a lot of money into, like, any metaverse project, like anything, right? They'll invest, like, oh, like, this guy says he's going to do a metaverse project, and, you know, he's going to exist in the metaverse. Oh, really? Here's $10 million. Oh, metaverse? Here's $5 million. Metaverse, and you're already an established company? Here's $100 million. And they're throwing money away. And the reason for that is they're not throwing it away. They're making gambles. They're making gambles because they are gambling that one of them will pop off. And that's what people do with cryptocurrency too, is they invest in it as a speculative asset, hoping that it will go up in value in 10 years, you know, above the rate of inflation, because that's just what people do. So you see this constantly happening. And yes, you're right, there's going to be a lot more competition, but there's also a lot more possibilities. There's a lot more tools. Accessibility is much higher. Like developing an app, the amount of like for example, like if you want to learn coding, like when I was 18, let's say for example, it was harder to find information about coding than it is now. Like nowadays, I mean, you have like websites that are dedicated towards teaching you and like having you learn these things. The accessibility is just off the charts nowadays, and people don't realize this. It's very saturated. It is. And that's why you have to keep taking a shotgun approach, a buckshot approach. Release 10 games a year. Release 20 games a year. You know, if you're not that kind of person and you're looking to try to just make one really good game, look at Ponkel, for example. He's the guy who developed Vampire Survivors. My understanding is that he's made many other games in the past, and they have never seen the level of success that Vampire Survivors has. You just got to keep swinging. And eventually, if you're talented and you work hard, you've got a good chance of hitting. And if you don't work hard, and you're not talented, and you're not trying to better yourself, there's a guarantee that you're not going to hit. So it's important to keep that in mind. So yeah, gonna get him on soon. I sent him a message. I might message him on the other account. I just don't want to annoy him, you know what I mean? Because I know he's busy, you know, like making a video game. So yeah, I haven't gotten a response back yet. He might just not check his DMs though. He probably gets messaged constantly. The engines do a lot of coding for you. Back in my day, you actually had to learn to write the full code. Yeah, I know. There are actually, I worked with a more rudimentary version on this whenever I was in college back in the day, where it was able to take different flowchart logic design and then implement that into coding. And like now, as far as I know, it's like way fucking better, because it was basically like an inverse way of teaching people coding. And so yeah, I've seen this stuff a lot of times. That's how Unreal works. Yeah, I don't really know a lot of the details, but like all I'm saying is like the accessibility for it right now is at an all-time high. Like it's never been more accessible. And as long as you have an internet connection, you have every ability in the world to learn how to do this. And it's incredible to think about. But yeah, so like mobile games are going to be like way more popular. You have like the if you look at like the breakdown in the market of like how many billions of dollars are spent on mobile games versus like a PC or a console game. Holy shit. Mobile games might not necessarily be the only future, but they're a massive future, and they're growing, and they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as more people grow up, because there's going to be people like, there's like people like, I'm 31, right? So people that are, I'd say like 25 and over, were not really always raised on a phone. They were not really raised on the internet. Like, I still remember times whenever we didn't have the internet back in the day. Like, it was the Stone Ages, right? We had to, like go to school in like the Flintstones car and, crack rocks together to start a flint to, start a fire to cook our food. This is what we used to have to do in the 90s. But after that, obviously things changed and they got a lot different. And so people like my age are not conditioned. They're not conditioned to buy microtransactions. They're not conditioned to pay money for online value-add services in video games. This conditioning has not been applied to them, and it's like religion, for example. A lot of religion is kids are indoctrinated into religion because it's a lot easier to indoctrinate a kid into religion, and then there's going to be less dissonance they're going to have growing up against what they're learning because they don't have a frame of reference to base it off of. So what's happening with what's happening with these games is that kids are playing them whenever they're very young, and then they grow up and then they spend money on them because it's the logical progression of what they've been conditioned to do throughout their life. And I think this is going to happen more and more as people get older, as we get older, and as the people who are 6 right now, like a kid that's 6 right now isn't going to be doing shit. But there's going to be 10 years from now, whenever he's 16, and he's working at McDonald's for, $385 an hour, which is the new minimum wage. And, he's able to buy a few things on the Raid Shadow Legends store. Because he's grown up and he's been conditioned to do that, and all of his friends do that, and it's normal. And there's also going to be, this is what's going to happen too, is you're going to see, and we've already seen this, you're going to see classism with this. And we already saw this with Fortnite, where like kids would get made fun of for only having default skins and stuff like that because their parents wouldn't buy them the cool new one. And I think this is going to become even more common because classism manifests itself everywhere. It manifests itself in video games. It manifests itself in real life. Like people drive expensive cars. They wear expensive clothes. Why? Is the car that much better or the clothes that much better? No, but they are, and they want everybody to know it because they're spending that much money on a car. So that's what I think is going to happen with video games too. And you've already started to see this happen with like Lost Ark, and you've also started to see this happen with people rationalizing purchases in Blizzard games like store mounts and things like that. If you go and you look at the comments, you will see a lot of comments that somebody complains about the mount, and then somebody says, well, at least I'm not a broke bitch and I can afford it. So it's becoming a status symbol to spend money on video games now. And companies are trying to create this as much as possible by creating so many visual points of difference between people who are spending money and people who are not spending money, as to make the people who are not spending money feel inferior while not necessarily telling them that directly. So this is going to be very common. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because it's important to know that it's happening and know that this is coming up, and it's already been coming up. It's creeping up, and people don't realize it yet. And by the time that they do, it might be too late. And I don't think that there is anything you can really do to stop it because it's something that preys on fundamental human psychology, in my opinion. The willingness and the want to rise above others, the willingness to try to rank yourself among other people. You see this, right? People try to rank themselves however. Viewer Andes, subscriber Andes, bigger number, better person, salary, how tall you are, how much you weigh, how big your boobs are, what your IQ is, how much you can bench press. Everybody tries to create a quantifiable metric that they can consider themselves superior or inferior to other people based off of. This is just the way that people work. So I think it's going to become even more common, and video games are just going to be a new avenue to do that. And so, yeah, I mean, Diablo Immortal, It's kind of a bit of a tangent, but I think you guys can kind of see where I'm going with this. Third generation responsibility, get the law to prohibit microtransaction shit. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's important to have laws that make it as ethical and as controlled as possible, because while I have no sympathy whatsoever for people who are stupid who spend money on this stuff, I think it's totally fucking fine, and I legitimately don't care if they waste their money or they lose their money, because I think they're stupid, and I look at gambling as a stupid tax. The dumber you are, the more you pay. So I don't really fundamentally feel sorry for them. However, I don't think that's the way that the world should work, right? Like, you can very easily see that this is not something that's healthy for society, even though I don't personally have any sympathy for them, if that makes sense. Most people are brain dead. Yeah, that's all there is to it. RNG part needs to go for sure. Yeah, I agree. I think so. I'd like to see that happen for sure. Is spending money on something you like and brings you joy stupid? Because I find it to be harmful, and I think that people do it with false misconceptions. They do it because they are addicted to it. They do it because they are... I actually think that this is something that I haven't really talked about a whole lot, but I think that a fundamental flaw with a lot of people who are gamblers is narcissism. And I think that gambling exploits narcissism more than it exploits anything else, because these are people who believe that they're lucky. These are people who believe that they're special. They're the ones that are going to win. And I think that's how it takes advantage of them, because you can even tell them a statistic like it's 1 in 10,000 and they'll think, yeah, but I'm the 1 in 10,000, right? And this is what these people do to themselves. So I don't think it's necessarily good, or I think you can make that argument with drugs. You can make that argument with pretty much anything that could have potentially negative impacts on your life. And I think it's up to the society in general to look at what is a healthy thing for the world to have. It's not gambling if you know you're going to win. True. Yeah, I think they need to be regulated. I think that really, I mean, you want to talk about the birds popping off? I'm about to get the gun. I'm going to pop off myself. That keeps up. I'm going to just get his ass. There's a whole lot of them, aren't they? I'm going to pop his ass off. Just kidding. I don't even have a gun. I'll have to throw my axe at him. Yeah. And let's see here. Video games, you don't need something in a virtual space. Okay. All right. So we're off in fantasy land today. That's great. Well, I'm glad that we're having such an important conversation here. Yeah. So anyway, the queue, leave them be. No, it's totally okay. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Valheim, 10 million copies sold. That's right. And so yeah, that's all it really comes down to. Opinions on gray items being added to transmog. I think that's good. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I paid money to buy content. Oops. It's the way it goes. But the virtual space is better than real life. I think that's going to continue to become the case as real life becomes more and more dystopian. You're going to see more and more people try to move towards the internet space. I think that's what's going to happen for sure. Elon Musk buy Twitter, your opinion? Yeah, let's talk about that. And just, yeah, in general, I think mobile games, I'd like to see, I think one thing that a lot of us can all agree on is that buying something in a video game that has an uncertain outcome, like a loot box, is gambling. It is gambling. And in my opinion, it's not as bad as slots. It's not as bad as something like that, because there is a 100% chance that you will not make your money back. There is not an opportunity for you to make your money back, so I don't find it as insidious as something that you play with real money to get real money back out of it. However, that doesn't mean that it's good. I still think that it's bad, and I think it would be better if things like that did not exist. And I think if the companies made laws against it, the game developers would have to change the way they design games to make them more ethical and fair for players. So yeah, that's what I hope happens. NFT fixes this? Yeah, I've heard that it fixes a lot of things. I'm waiting for that to actually happen, though. Let's see here. Should be illegal to target children with gotcha systems. Yeah, just like cigarettes. NFTs to solve world hunger. True. Yep, absolutely. But overusing gambling microtransactions for just playing the games, more apps are using that system. Microtransactions is how to progress in any game. Yeah, that's what's going to keep happening, because the people, what you have to understand is that the people that run the government don't know how the internet works. So like just start off assuming that the person who writes the laws that you live your life according to has to be told how to use different apps on their phone by somebody who's as old as their daughter or granddaughter. Okay, you have to understand that they are just so stupid, so completely disconnected from technology. And the worst thing about it is that they don't realize it. They don't even know how stupid they are, because they're in their own little world where everybody tells them how important they are constantly and tells them that they're smart. So yeah, I think this is a huge problem. I do. I've talked about this many times. Gambling is a fundamental idea. Yes, it is. Gambling gets programmed into children whenever they're young. Look at Pokemon cards, Kinder eggs. Yeah, I mean, I think so. But, I mean, it's always easy to draw parallels and draw paradigms to other things. But I think that whenever you do that, you get so mired down in exceptions and, correlations and things like this that no action ever really occurs. Luckily for the next generation, these old farts that we have will be dead. What makes you think that we'll be any better? Don't you think that that generation of old fucks thought the same thing about the old fucks that were, old fucks whenever they were young fucks? Yeah, it's just going to happen again. Yeah, I don't really have like a lot of faith in that at all. Yeah, but we're going to do it different. Yeah, sure. Okay, anyway, now let's talk about something else. A reason why I stream on 2 separate channels. The reason why is because I sometimes will go live on this channel if there's like news or something like that I want to talk about, but I don't want to go live on my main channel because people have like more expectations for like a certain kind of stream. So that's why. It's kind of just like a stream that I use just basically for, hey, I'm recording this and now it's easier to put it on YouTube. It's that simple. So more education and younger representatives, but yeah, it'll happen again. Yeah, for sure. I don't want to get through, go through a bunch more of that stuff, but I think that's what it is. People making fun of NFTs 100% worse than people actually talking about NFTs, insufferable. I think that a lot of people don't want to be talked down to by some 19-year-old who thinks he's going to be the next Jordan Belfort because he has a special picture for a profile picture. Like nobody wants to be talked down to by a person like that. It's funny for people to see a person like that fail, because they will, because they're stupid. And people love seeing NFT bros and like these people that are like investing in these like bullshit cryptos. Like I see them all the time, like tweets about it. Like, oh, I lost all my money, my account got hacked, and people are like, haha, fuck you. That's what you get. That's what's gonna happen. That's why you two-factor, kids. That's why you sim swap.